Hey everyone, happy Thursday. Happy Friday, Junior. It's almost the weekend. Welcome to the weekly live stream. I am Julie Barrett, founder of Conservative Ladies of America. We have got a lot to talk about today. We're going to really be digging into a lot of this digital ID stuff that's going on every day. It seems like this is like a train that is like out of control and heading full speed ahead off the tracks. And every day it seems to get worse. Just when you think it won't get worse, every day is a new day with new policies and new weird things going on. And this is like the tricky thing for me with this is that it's weird to see so many people who have called themselves conservatives and parental rights advocates really cheering for these digital ID policies in the name of protecting children and empowering parents. And these policies don't do any of that. And so it's very frustrating. And so what we're going to talk about today is a new policy that came out from the Federal Trade Commission yesterday. So this impacts the whole country. So if you're thinking, well, this is just something in Utah or Louisiana or Texas or Florida, and they're red states, right? Like that's like the mind-boggling mess of this whole thing is that red states are leading the way on this. But anyway, so this FTC thing is gonna impact everybody across the board. So we're going to get into that. And we're also going to talk about, hey, TZ and hey, Christopher from Ohio and TZ from the separate country of Washington State. Thanks for joining us. Hey, if you let us know in the comments where you are watching from. The whole thing with the live stream is that we can interact, and I'm not just talking to a camera by myself, and I'm actually getting to engage with you guys. So if you have questions or comments, put those in the chat. Joy from our leadership team is in the YouTube live chat, and we are also streaming to my personal X account and also the Conservative Ladies of America Facebook page. Jean, it is nice to see you as well. Where are you guys? Jean, where are you from? I know where Christopher is from. Oh, it's Jeannie. Sorry, it says Jean. I didn't put two and two together. Yeah, so Jeannie's from our leadership team as well, and she's also in the YouTube chat. So we're going to talk about the FTC new policy. We're going to talk about the Apple I don't know if it's a policy. Apple's going to do, has put out a thing to app developers. That was day before yesterday, so Tuesday. And just going to kind of go over like the status of all of these policies, because we've got a bunch of these at the federal level. And it's not, when I say like digital ID policies, if you've been following me for a while, following the Conservative Ladies of America Substack, you know that this isn't just it's not just a social media ban. This is hitting everything from the App Store level to social media, AI, content that's harmful to minors. And I would say a few months ago, before I really started geeking out on these policies, I probably would have said, yeah, I think, banning content that's harmful to minors is probably a really good thing to do. And then I really went down the rabbit hole and really kind of saw how this is a very slippery slope. Also, one of the things that really changed my mind was when the Washington State had a bill, House Bill 2112, and it is dead for this session. I like to think we had a hand in helping get it killed, but the left really came out hard against it. So that was good. It's good to be on the same team on this issue, because then hopefully we can maybe more effectively kill some of these bad policies. But one of the representatives in the committee hearing for House Bill 2112 in Washington State said so someone was testifying in support of the bill from the Age Verification Providers Association, the AVPA. So their members stand to make a lot of money off of these policies if they're passing, because if all these websites and platforms and AI and all these people have to age verify every user, these age verification providers are going to make a lot of money. So it's I think that the third-party age verification companies are definitely part of the lobby supporting these bills. A lot of money is going into pushing these policies forward. Anyway, Sharon Tomiko Santos, a rep from, I want to say she's from Mercer Island, Washington. She made the comment, she asked a question of the guy from ABPA, what is to stop us from expanding these beyond content that is harmful to minors? Why couldn't we expand this to violence and this and that and the other thing? And that is, like she said, the quiet part out loud. And that is exactly the point with these bills. It's not, it's number one, it's not something to protect kids. That's just what they're using to market this and sell it. But it is very much a slippery slope. So sure, once they ban one kind of harmful content, they're going to slide other things into that. So think back, conservative friends that are watching, to COVID, when there were things that you could and could not say about vaccines. Think about the 2020 elections, things that you could and could not say about elections. I know a lot of people that got kicked off of social media platforms because of things that they said online. And that is exactly where these policies are going. It's big government. It's going to be big government surveillance. There's going to be big government censorship. This is very bad stuff. And, you know, parental rights and protecting children is like my number one thing. I mean, that's why I do what I do anyway, because of what happened to our own family, what happened to our own children is why I do what I do. And so it is absolutely the number one most important thing to me. But this doesn't protect kids. If it did, I'd be the first one championing it. We really need to get back to parents doing the hard thing. Keep your kids off of social media. Don't give your kids these devices. There is no government mandate for you to give your child an iPhone and allow them to access social media. Parents are choosing to supply these devices to their kids and then, you know, give them access to their Wi-Fi. I mean, parents are in control of this, and I get it. It is hard to say no to kids, but that is what we as parents must do. That's our job, is to do the hard thing. So with all that said, let's get into what the FTC said yesterday. So I'm going to put up a screenshot of, this was their press release that came out yesterday. FTC issues COPPA policy statement to incentivize the use of age verification technologies to protect children online. So we're going to go through their policy statement, and we're really going to look at, does this actually protect kids online? Because no, it doesn't. Okay, so this is their press release. And then as you scroll down on the press release page, they have, I'm going to find you this. This is the actual statement. And so basically what they're talking about, what COPPA is. So for those, let's go back and just kind of do a refresher on what COPPA is and what this press release is actually going to do. So let me pull this up here. So COPPA I'll take this down for a second while we talk about this. So COPPA is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. It passed in 1998. So obviously the internet was not nearly what it is today. And people probably people that were passing laws at that time probably had couldn't imagine what it is today. And so granted, it is outdated, but I still think it's probably, in some ways, I think it's probably a good thing. So the entire purpose of COPPA was to prevent companies from collecting personal data on kids 13 and under. So they would have to have parent knowledge and consent if they were going to collect data on kids under 13. And so under COPPA, if a platform knows a user is under 13 and they want to collect personal information, they have to notify the parent. They have to get verifiable parental consent. They have to limit the amount of data that is collected. They can use it only for the stated purpose. They have to delete it when it's no longer needed. They have to keep it secure. So COPPA defines, I'm going to show you the definition of personal information from COPPA, because this is really important to understand when you see what the FTC is now going to allow operators, platforms to collect from children. Okay, so I highlighted kind of the most, like, to me, the most alarming thing. So this is under the definition of personal information under COPPA. So first and last name, home or physical address, including a street name and name of city or town, online contact information, a screen name or username where it functions in the same manner as online contact information, a telephone number, back when people had landlines back in 1998, a government issued identifier such as a social security number, a state identification card, a birth certificate, or a passport number, a persistent identifier that can be used to recognize a user over time and across different websites or online services. Such persistent identifiers include, but not limited to, a customer number held in a cookie, an internet protocol address, a processor or device serial number, a unique device identifier, a photograph, video, or audio file where the file contains the child's image or voice, geolocation information sufficient to identify street name and name of a city or town. So I want you guys to catalog this, because I'm going to explain to you in just a second why this is really alarming what the FTC has done. A biometric identifier that can be used for the automated or semi-automated recognition of an individual, such as fingerprints, handprints, retina patterns, iris patterns, genetic data, including DNA sequence, voice prints, gait patterns, facial templates, or face prints, or information concerning the child or all this stuff just blows my mind. And the more I process this information, the madder I get. Okay, so information concerning the child or the parents of that child that the operator collects online from the child and combines with an identifier described in this section. So this is the definition for personal information under COPPA. So platforms can't collect that right now. Okay, that whole list that I just read to you, platforms cannot collect that for kids under 13 without getting parent consent and parents knowing that it's going on. Okay, so now the FTC, I'm going to bring you up here's the policy. So they want to incentivize data collection. I'm going to have to pull this down because I can't even read it. So you guys probably can't read it. Let me pop that up someplace else where I can actually read it, because I am reading glasses years old now. Okay. Let me pull this over here. Okay, in the decades since COPPA's enactment, internet-connected technology has become a significant presence in many children's lives. Parents, in turn, have faced increasing challenges in understanding which online sites and services their children are using and how to make choices about their children's online activities. In response to this phenomenon, some states have taken steps to protect children's online privacy and safety by passing laws that mandate certain sites or services to use age verification mechanisms. The purpose of those mechanisms is to obtain and analyze information about a user who visits the site or service to determine what type of access, restrictions, or protections to provide those users. Now, keep in mind, every policy that has passed requires every user to provide their age verification data to access said services. Okay, so these laws are passed, we're going to protect kids, but this is wrapping every user into it. And so age verification can play a critical role in protecting children online and helping parents as they monitor their child's online activities. To promote innovation in and the responsible use of age verification mechanisms, the Commission is issuing this enforcement statement to describe how operators of websites or online services directed to children that do not target children as their primary audience, known as mixed audience websites or online services, as well as operators of general audience sites or services, can utilize age verification mechanisms without subjecting themselves to the risk of enforcement under the COPPA rule. So they're saying We want these platforms to do age verification for children, and we're not going to enforce the COPPA rule. What is the COPPA rule? The COPPA rule requires parents' consent and knowledge before the data is collected. So the FTC is now saying it's okay for these operators to collect this data on kids without getting parental consent first. And they're not going to enforce COPPA on these operators. Like, did you guys see that list of personal information that these kids could be like? My son, my daughters too, but my son was very, very tech savvy. In fact, he works for a gaming company now, and he does anti-cheat. So he was a little hacker at like 9 years old. Shame on me. I know. I take full responsibility. It's my fault. I'm the mom. Buck stops with me. But he's actually like doing really good and has a great career and makes really good money doing anti-cheat for a game company now. And he, how old was he? He was about 9, I think. My daughter was graduating. So, yeah, he would have been about 9, 11. No, I'm sorry, 11. She's 7 years older than him. So he was like 10, 11, fifth grade-ish. And he managed to like write down my debit card numbers sometime when I'd leave my purse in the kitchen or something. He wrote down all my credit card numbers, and he was like buying Roblox or something. And my bank called me one day and they're like, "Did you spend $500 on Roblox?" But he was able to give, my point is he was under 13 and he was giving my very private data to clearly people in other countries. And so I think I have a case right here for why this is a really bad idea. Our kids these kids are really smart, and there's people online that will help them figure out what information that they need to give. But don't put it past your kids to go into your purse and get your ID, get your credit card, get anything they want. Like, these kids are very creative. These kids are very sneaky. These kids are usually more tech savvy than their parents. And so children are going to be giving the information that they need to be able to access the services that they want to without these tech companies requiring parental notification or parental consent. It's horrifying. And to see, like, okay, this is the lady. Melissa McKay is the lady who is the architect. She calls herself the architect of the App Store Accountability Act. So we've talked a lot about the App Store Accountability Act. It is the age verification at the App Store level. So if you want to be able to download the Bible app, any app, you're going to have to provide your age verification to be able to do that. And you'll have to do that for your kids, and everyone will have to do it. Even if you don't have kids, you're going to have to do it. So that's her baby. It's all meta funded, meta backed. She posts on X that fire. The FTC's COPPA statement sends clear support for stronger age verification methods. Apple just showed App Store age verification can take under 30 seconds using data already collected. Yet Apple and Google resist adopting age verification for child safety. Why? Why do they do it? And so I think this is interesting because she wants kids to be safe, right? But here she is being totally fine with these companies collecting children's data without parental consent. Like, did you think that through? If this is truly about safety and truly about giving parents more empowering parents, this seems like an awfully strange way to go about it. And it's kind of funny because, honestly, if you think about it, the FTC policy that they've just come out with really is showing that they're willing to bypass parental consent and parental knowledge for these operators to collect age verification data. Really shows you that parents are not in the driver's seat when it comes to these policies. It's kind of, we always say they said the quiet part out loud. I really see that they have, with this FTC thing, they have really overplayed their hand in this, and said the quiet part out loud. Now we know exactly that getting that age verification data is more important than actually empowering parents and making sure that children are safe. And someone I saw, I actually retweeted this because it made me so mad. Some gal, Lynn's Warriors, I think she is on X. She tweeted about, we need to pass COSA. That's the Kids Online Safety Act in Congress. We need to pass COSA now to keep kids safe. And at the end of her tweet, she said, kids are dying. And I really have such a problem with that emotional manipulation, that kids are dying. And so we have to have digital ID, because that's like, let's cut the crap. That's exactly what you're saying. Kids are dying. So we need digital ID. And I think, like, social media, like, there's a lot of dangers online. And I think that there's online stuff can be very dangerous to the mental health of our young people. And I think that it does so much damage in, we can talk about, like, with relationships and your, face-to-face communications, education, socialization. I mean, there's so many different things with online that really are just not beneficial to children as they're growing up. And I think it's also very safe to say that adults are very distracted by social media. Adults are addicted to social media, and I'm not pointing any fingers. I mean, I'm, don't go anywhere without my phone either. And I spend way too much time on social media. So I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying this is a problem. And in order to truly address the problem, we would want to change our culture to really empower parents to do the hard thing and parent their kid, which is the ultimate way that you're going to be able to protect your children and really do, heal these kids. Instead, we've got, I'm not saying that kids have not, I'm not trying to minimize what she's saying about the harms of social media or the online world, because I know that there likely are children who have, because of things that have happened to them online, whether it's, cyberbullying, or they've seen content, that encourage self-harm. I know that's out there. We experience some of the, with our own kids. But the answer to solving that problem isn't digital ID. Really, it's we've got to help these kids. We've got to parent these kids. I think what we know more than anything is these kids need relationship with their parents. These kids need mentors in their lives, like real, genuine, face-to-face communication with other human beings, instead of being on these phones, instead of being stuck on a screen. And it's not, one of the things we aren't hearing anything about is the screens in school. And COVID really, took that like over the finish line, right? Because once everybody had to go home and do online school, then all the kids needed a Chromebook. How convenient was that? And so no one's really talking about that. No one's talking about the screens in school and what kids are able to access from the screens in school. And would they be better off going back to textbooks and pencils and, things like that, rather than being on their devices all day? So a lot of the people supporting these policies are using really, in my opinion, garbage excuses, if I can be quite honest with you. So let's talk about now the thing that Apple put out yesterday, and I'm going to try to share this with you. Let's see, I'm going to move it over here. That way I can, oops, let's see. The producer is out again this week. I don't have a producer. I'm just sitting here doing it myself. Imagine what that would be like. That'd be so cool. Okay, so age requirements for apps distributed in Brazil, Australia, Singapore, Utah, and Louisiana. Why Utah and Louisiana? Because the App Store Accountability Act, which we just talked about, the architect, Melissa McKay, this is her bill. It passed in Utah first. That's where she is from. That's kind of where she like got the start for the App Store Accountability Act. That's the first place it passed. So last year it passed in 3 states, Utah, Louisiana, and Texas. The Texas law was supposed to take effect on January 1, but it has been blocked by a judge. Utah and Louisiana are set to take effect later this year. So the reason that Apple's update only pertains to Utah and Louisiana is because those are the only two that are going to be impacted this year. However, this really sets the framework, builds the framework for them to easily add other states or add the whole country. So for users with new Apple accounts in Utah as of May 6th, 2026, and in Louisiana as of July 1, 2026, age categories will be shared with the developer's app when requested through the Declared Age Range API. The tools we previously announced have been expanded to help developers meet compliance obligations for Louisiana and Utah. And then, you can click all of these and go to these. These are all developer tools. So the new signals are now available through the Declared Age Range API, including whether age-related regulatory requirements apply to the user and if the user is required to share their age range. The API will also let you know if you need to get a parent or guardian's permission for significant app updates for a child. Now, this is going to so one of the things that's really concerning about this is they're going to be able to infer your location using this. And because the bills have sort of the age range, there will be kind of constant monitoring of both parent and child. So that is cause for concern. I want to look here and see. Let's see. Also, I just found this today. On February 5th, Utah House, the state legislature, introduced a new bill. It's House Bill 498. It is an amendment to the App Store Accountability Act. And I thought, when I first saw it, I thought, oh, I bet that they are going to scale it back so that because of the Texas lawsuit, I thought, well, maybe they're going to scale it back. And that's what they're amending to make it more resilient to any legal challenges. Because I think NetChoice has filed a lawsuit against Utah. But that's not the case. The amendment actually makes it even worse, and it expands it more. So this is what they're doing in Arizona. Arizona has House Bill 2920, and Arizona was the first bill I saw where it applied to pre-installed apps. So, when you get your phone, it has the weather and the calculator and whatever pre-installed apps come with your phone. You will have to do age verification. You'll have to provide something for that. And they get to decide, and all of these laws kind of have the same thing, commercially reasonable methods. And so they get to really decide what that is. In none of this legislation are they, required only this or only that, or that's a big piece of the concern here, is that there's no guardrails on what kind of data can be collected, where is it going to be stored, how is it going to be kept private. And you guys, every day we're hearing about data breaches from all of these online places. I think there was something from Discord like last week about a breach that they had, and they have I think they might have pulled it back a little bit, but they came out recently with, we're just going to do universal age verification for all Discord users. And these laws have been passed around the globe in other countries. And so they're really trying to kind of get ahead. I mean, they see where things are going. They see in America, we've got all these state policies, and then we've got all the federal policies. So they're going to make their platforms compliant with the most restrictive policy, so that with this patchwork of laws, it's a mess. So Utah and Arizona are the only two right now that I have seen where the App Store Accountability Act also applies to apps that come pre-installed on your device. And there's so much data collection and ongoing age verification. And one of the things that is really concerning to me is there's no how do they make the parent child, how do they verify the parent child relationship? There really isn't any, there's nothing in any of these policies that talks about how they are required to figure out the parent child relationship. And as someone who comes from a state like Washington, where you have, kind of this activist culture that doesn't, I shouldn't say kind of, where you have this activist culture that doesn't really have any regard or respect for parental rights, you could easily see kids being linked up with an adult that isn't their parent. And you have kids that might have a different last name than their parent. Like my kids and I have different last names. And you've got kids in divorce situations where maybe they're spending time at each parent's house and the parents maybe don't really agree on a lot of parenting stuff. And so there's like, it's just a mess of how all of this is going to work. And I think they didn't think this through. They didn't want to think this through because the idea isn't to make it protective of children. It really is to advance this agenda. And, you right now it might be, you just have to, provide your ID for, to use social media or to use ChatGPT or whatever the policy is about. But this is quickly going to expand into the financial world and your medical and really every part of what we do. I mean, at some point, our utility bills going to be connected to this, and you're going to have to, you put your digital ID in, and I mean, it's very dystopian. And I think, I don't think that it's an exaggeration to see that that is exactly the direction that we're going, especially when you factor in the SAVE Act, which I'm so frustrated with the SAVE Act because I think people really don't understand what's in the SAVE Act. And you have a lot of conservative influencers, people on the conservative side who are saying, pass the SAVE Act, we need voter ID, we need election integrity. And I agree. I think, we should have voter ID. And here in Florida, we do have voter ID. We should have in-person voting. We should have to prove that you're a citizen. I'm all for that. But the SAVE Act is not just that. From the original version of it, from when it was originally filed last year, it has now expanded into this massive identity framework that has so much cross-agency communication with your data, and they are wrapping in the DHS SAVE program. I forget what the acronym on the DHS side stands for, but all of it is going to be wrapped up together. And do you remember when Kristi Noem, I think it was last May, and she did some video on, we've got to get everybody on Real ID. They really rushed Real ID after 20 years of dragging their feet on it. They were like, we got to do Real ID right now. And the Real ID component of the SAVE Act and the DHS piece that's in the SAVE Act, it's very concerning. And I see all of these pieces with the digital media stuff and the SAVE Act. I feel like it all is playing into like the larger framework of a digital ID and an identification framework within the government. And if you guys haven't, go to our YouTube channel or our Substack. I did a video yesterday with Jen's 2 cents. She's an independent journalist in Arizona, and she's been going down the rabbit hole on the flock cameras. And she did a FOIA request. She lives in, I think, Mesa, somewhere in the Phoenix area of Arizona, I think. But she did a FOIA request on her license plate and these cameras and what they had picked up. And it's just like there were like 250 different hits on her license plate, and they weren't all her, and it wasn't her car, and like just weird stuff. Like AI is a good tool, but I think they use AI for that, and AI can make mistakes. And but it was like these cameras were picking up all of her daily like her comings and her goings, and it's just, we already have the surveillance state is already here. We just maybe don't know about it. Yeah, so I see the SAVE Act and all these digital ID policies. I see them all really playing into sort of the same thing. I am excited because I think that here in Florida, the App Store Accountability Act may be dead. I don't want to like take a victory lap until session is officially over, because coming from Washington State, we know that the majority party can, pull anything back out anytime they want. They can suspend the rules for any reason they want. So I see everything through that lens. I feel like Washington was really good training ground for activists and advocates, because you really you learn how the majority party will abuse all the rules. But we had it's Senate Bill 1722 here in Florida. I went up and testified. I think it was like 3 weeks ago now. Drove up to Tallahassee, took 2 days to testify on that bill. And one of the things I want to show you guys, because, and this is one of the things that really frustrates me about this, is that we have conservatives and, conservative think tanks, parental rights groups, really championing these policies, and people trust them. Parents trust them because, they've been leading the charge for the last few years of the, as far as like Heritage is like the big conservative think tank, and people have been listening to them for decades and decades, and really trust them. But there is a lot of money in these tech policies that is going to these right-wing organizations and think tanks and politicians and influencers to say the things to support bad policy. And so because this Senate Bill 1722, being that I live in Florida and it's a Florida bill, it was one of the most personal to me. I really appreciated too. I posted my testimony online. The committee actually asked me some questions, which gave me some time to really explain things more than the 3 minutes I had to testify. And I was really able to break some of these things down. But this is an article that was posted, that was in the Florida. It's called Florida Politics. I think it's like an online news thing. And Moms for Liberty got its start in Florida. And so the founders all live in Florida, and their chapters all really got their start. The chapters, Florida, I think, had probably like the most chapters out of the gate, because that's where their founders were from. And so they were well networked here. But I want to show you this article that one of the founders wrote on Senate Bill 1722. She says that it will ensure that the government takes a back seat to parents while strengthening resources to help them make informed decisions about protecting their children. I'm not sure how I see government taking a back seat. And okay, that's just false. This is a government mandate. Government taking a back seat is saying, you know what? These are your kids. You're the parent. You figure out how to protect your kids. This is actually a government mandating, saying that in order for your child to download the Bible app or whatever their school app, what's a iReady or iExcel, what are those learning things? They're going to download that app. In order for them to do that, you have to turn over their age verification data, your age verification data, and then you have to provide a link between the two of you. You have to do that before your kid can download an app. That is not government in the backseat. That is not government in the backseat. The parent-focused Senate Bill 1722 has another strength: longevity. Instead of legislating platform by platform in a world where thousands of apps are created daily, parents would find comfort knowing they will always have the final say. Okay, I think we can just revert back to point number one. This is the government having the say. The App Store Accountability Act is designed to empower parents by establishing safeguards before children can download any new app, including any new technology that may be used in the future. I am pleased that Senate Bill 1722 passed unanimously out of the Senate Commerce and Tourism Committee, and I look forward to continuing to champion this bill until it gets to the governor's desk, to Governor DeSantis's desk. where I am confident he will sign it, and millions of Florida parents will find solace knowing that their children's digital lives are becoming safer. I don't know how this is making their digital lives safer. One of the things I say about this particular bill is it locks the front door and leaves all the windows wide open. How does it do that? Well, your kid said, let's just say Snapchat. Kid says, Mom, can I download Snapchat? Mom's over here like on her own phone, doing her own thing, doesn't want to be bothered. Sure. Well, you can download Snapchat. So they put in the ID and stuff, and the parent gives the thing so that she can go back to, her Pinterest or Instagram or whatever mom was doing. All the same in-app dangers are in Snapchat. The predators are still there. The chat features are still there. The AI chat features are like, all the stuff is still there. That bad content, the reason you say kids are killing themselves, it's all still in the app. All you did was force your child to give their sensitive data over so that they could use the app. So this is like this whole thing with, saying no one has to upload an ID or any of that. That's false. The bills have no safeguards on that. It is completely up to the platforms to decide what they're going to use, what kind of data they're going to use, how they're going to store it. There's zero privacy protections in these bills, and it just blows my mind that these like you could not pay me any amount of money to lie to parents about this. And I've really struggled to figure out, do the supporters of this, such as these parental rights groups, do they not understand the policy, or do they just not care? I want to think it's the former, and that they don't understand the policy, because if the fact is that they're getting paid and they just don't care, that's a blow, right, for all of us. Because I think, especially in this space of parental rights and, advocating for families and protecting children, to know that there's people that would rather get the payout than actually protect the children and parental rights. That's a hard pill to swallow. I think it's a possibility. I like to think that they just don't understand it, because that will help me sleep better at night and it will make me less mad. But I think it could definitely go either way. And I think, I think, at least for me, when I first got into legislation a few years back, and I just, being in Washington, like, the Democrats are the bad guys, right? And so you assume, naively, I assumed that the Republicans were the good guys, and they were in there holding the line and fighting the good fight. And that turned out not to be true. And that's not true. Like, that's across the board. They're just a different team. They're all working for the same end goal. It's like two wings of the same bird. They're all working for big government and for these lobbyists and special interest groups that are paying to, advance their policies. And most of these policies aren't in the best interest of we the people, and they all advance big government. And I think that can be like a hard pill to swallow, right? As we've, especially, I think, having a lot of this stuff happening under the Trump administration sucks. I mean, it's certainly, I think, better than what we would have had with Kamala, but we're going to get digital ID under Trump with all these bills and with the SAVE Act. So that really sucks. And to watch conservative influencers, pushing these bad policies sucks. So our goal at Conservative Ladies is really to just sound the alarm, to let you guys know what's going on, so that we can all make a lot of noise. Maybe I can upload this. I want to share this with you. I had a tweet. Tweet. A few days ago, maybe Monday, and this Jen's 2 cents. We were following each other on X now, and she's been trying to share out this work that I've been doing. I went on her podcast earlier this week. She's been trying to share out the work that I've been doing on the digital ID and the and these social media bills and stuff. And I she put out a video, I guess it was yesterday, of an Arizona state representative on the House floor explaining why he voted no on this AI digital ID bill. And as he was speaking, it was early yesterday morning, and as he was speaking, it's like, that sounds like something I said. And it was, he was reading my tweet. So I'm going to add it.
Fortunately, an amendment was adopted in committee for this bill, making it more expansive and ensuring that it included zero data privacy protections, zero limits on what data can be collected, zero retention requirements, zero restrictions on biometric ID, zero rules for third-party sharing. The amended bill sweeps in almost every AI service you can think of, including travel, banking, and retail chatbots. This bill fits right in with the national trend of de facto digital ID policies framed as a way to protect kids and empower parents. It does neither. It is big government surveillance, and I urge that when it gets over to the Senate, the sponsor seriously consider adopting an amendment to resolve these concerns.
So that totally made my day. I love that. I love that our message is actually reaching the people that are voting on the policies. That's huge. It was very encouraging to us. Oh, that's really sweet of you, Christopher. I lost trust. I lost so much trust in everything. Same. Thank goodness I have your channel and common sense and community to listen to. Thank you, Christopher. We so appreciate you very much. I'm going to look through here. Let's see. You guys are all so chatty. I love it. We are headed for the same pattern as the UK. GOP are Tories, Dems are Labour. We're in for a wild ride until we get a Rupert Lowe-like figure. Trump is Boris Johnson. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, we are headed straight for the UK. Somebody, I'll try to find it. I saw it on X. I want to say it might be Net Choice. One of those tech people shared, it was like a comparison of the US COSA bill and the UK's, is it STAR? Whatever their digital ID thing is, that whatever their, and like side by side, they were so very similar. And it's just sad, because we have a constitution and whatnot that is supposed to protect us from stuff like this. So before we sign off, I'll just let you guys know, next week, I believe the House Energy and Commerce Committee, I think, is going to be working on a markup of COSA. That's the rumor that I hear. And don't forget that in addition to COSA, there is a new social media ban for kids. I think it's 13 and under. Might be 16. I don't even know if the text of the bill has been released yet, but it is Anna Paulina Luna, the Republican. All these Republicans from Florida has proposed this bill. I'm wondering if they do a markup session next week, I'm wondering if they're going to pull that bill into it. There's also a federal version of the App Store Accountability Act. There's like a dozen of these digital ID type bills in the House, and there's several also, the companion version over in the Senate. And the thing that people really need to be kind of concerned about with these is that, like with the SAVE Act, that's very much a partisan thing, and the Democrats are not having it. So it's stuck in the Senate right now. So that, in my opinion, that's a good thing on the SAVE Act, because rewind the video if you are just now tuning in. I won't go into that again, but with these digital ID bills, they have overwhelming bipartisan support. And so I think if they put them to a vote, I think they will pass, which is very scary. So keep making noise, share this information, share this video, share our Substack. I'll put the Substack link up here on the screen. This, we try to put out content daily. Sometimes twice daily if there's a lot going on, which there's been a ton going on with these digital ID bills. So if you just go to conservativeladiesofamerica.substack.com, that will bring you to our Substack. If you would like to support our work, become a paid subscriber to our Substack. that would really help us. We are just supported by citizens like you, people that want to, contribute to $20 one time, $20 a month. Subscribe to the Substack annually or monthly. If you want to make a bigger donation, of course, we love that. But we truly are a voice of the people. We are grassroots, and we really our goal is to educate people about what's going on with these policies, make it make sense to you, and also to show up in the rooms. And that's why we've been traveling to testify on these policies around the country, because almost always we are the only voice of the people in the room. The rest are special interest, lobbyist groups, people who are paid to actually be there and speak in support or in opposition to these policies. So that's really our goal. And the only way that we can continue to do that is with your support. So head over to the Substack, become a paid subscriber. That would be awesome. That's a great way that you can support us. There's also donation links over on our Substack if you'd rather just throw in like a one-time donation. So we would appreciate that. And I plan to be back here next week. This is a Thursday thing, so I plan to be back here next Thursday. Be interesting to see if I'm sure I will have something on this digital ID front to share with you. It'll be interesting to see if there's a markup that's happened in Congress by the time we meet again next Thursday. Please do share this video so people can watch it on replay. If you are watching on YouTube, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. That also helps us a lot, helps the algorithm, and makes it share out this video to other people. And I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next week.